Let's go!
I was checking out the scouting report, and I don't see nothing but bums. You and your whole entire world know that I am the one to one. You and your squad ain't got nothing for me. Your organization is looking stressed, and now that you haters is running from me, I know that you see that I'm highly blessed.
Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. Yeah, we live with your boy Coach G. Yeah, we live with your boy Monty.
You and your squad ain't got nothing for me. Your organization is looking stressed.
We are here. Welcome into another live edition of The Rewind. I am your host, Monty Moss, alongside my co-host, not just any other co-host. We've got a good episode coming to you guys today. Appreciate all the love and support you guys gave us on social media. If you haven't, make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Global Sports Entertainment 3. Bringing in my co-host. He is no ordinary, Chicago's finest, Temple alum, as we know. 4-time state championship, over 400 career wins as a basketball coach, as co-head coach. He's done it all, both football side and basketball side. Let's bring him in. My favorite, Coach Bryant Garvin here joining us. Bryant, we do have a great line of episodes coming up for you guys as far as topics, but we have a guest. We have a special guest coming in, not just no ordinary guest. He is a jack of all trades, a man of many things. He's Philadelphia's own, born and raised Temple alum, Temple School of Media and Communications Hall of Fame. If you didn't know, while at Temple, he was a reporter for the Philadelphia Inquirer, sports editor for Temple News, and the school newspaper for 2 years. He's a 3-time Associated Press Award winner for Best Sportscast in 2004, 2005, and Best Breaking Sports News in 2005 as well. This man has been with ESPN since 2006. You might have seen him on ESPN throughout the time, but he's also been host of NFL Live, Baseball Tonight, College Football Live, NBA Tonight, and the NCAA Women's Basketball Final Four. This man has also hosted the Special Olympics World Games since 2015. He has also hosted the first ever, if you did not know, the first ever NBA draft that aired on ABC in 2020. He's also the first Indian American to serve on a national sports network in American television sports history. Television history. This man's great. He's also a Temple alum. I'm starting to think this is going to be a Temple podcast. We had Temple alums the last 3 weeks, but we want to bring him on, the great Mr. Kevin Negandhi. Kevin, we appreciate your time. I know you're busy getting ready for the Super Bowl. Welcome into the Rewind. How's everything on your end, my brother?
Good to see you, Monty. Good to see you, Brian. And appreciate the intro. You could have saved about a minute and a half and just said, guys, TV. But good to talk to you guys. Thank you for having me on.
We're all about giving people their flowers while they're here. And I wanted to make sure that you get all your flowers that you desperately deserve for all the great work you've done over your career. Bryant, Temple alum, Temple to Temple. What's going on here?
It's a great thing to have Temple out here all together. And it's good to see Kevin. I have seen him in almost probably been like a year or so when you took that picture.
The picture was a year ago.
Yeah, you know, and sometimes I got to get Monty to understand that I coach football first, basketball is second. But you know that's okay. You know he understand where I come from. I'm a football guy first.
Well, we got championship recap rounds to discuss. Bills and Chiefs. Bills 0-3 coming into this game against Tractors home on the road. We know all the pressure that was on the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. Chiefs took the win 32-29. Josh Allen 22 of 34, 237 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Kevin, you know this is a great matchup coming into this game. You knew what was at stake for the Bills. Man, Bills just couldn't really get over that hump with this win or losing, I should say, on the road. But there was a particular play in this game for me that I thought was a difference maker or the changing point. If you fast forward to the 4th down conversion, Bills were going for 4th and 1, quarterback sneak. Josh Allen didn't get it, of course. It was a call that was pretty much, for me, the difference maker. When you saw this play, Kevin, and you know obviously better than anybody, what was this a difference maker in your eyes with this play here?
It was one of the differences, you know, like, because obviously you can go to the next drive and the stop on that 4th down with the blitz. But that's what stood out, because the different spotting on one end from the field judge and the other end of the field judge, I was stunned that he didn't get the first down. I thought he got the first down. I think a lot of people thought when they were watching that game that Josh Allen got the first down. But I'll say also this. They had the ball with 3 minutes to go. And if you started the season, if you started the day on Sunday and said, hey, and telling a Bills fan, you got Josh Allen, you have the football with 3 minutes to go, the chance to win the game, I think everybody would have taken that. So that's I mean, they got what they wanted. They were in a position where, can you see your quarterback take them to the next level? And I don't blame Josh. I think there's a lot of the blame game, especially in a team sport. Spags called it incredible blitz at the right time. Kincaid should have made the catch. I feel bad for the tight end. He's got a bright future in front of him, but this is what happens with the Chiefs. When you face a team like Mahomes, it feels like everybody around him elevates to his level, no matter who you are. And that's the prevailing storyline with the Chiefs during this dynasty run.
Yeah, Kevin, I just want to pick your brain on something because we know now that the Bills fall to 0-4 in the playoffs against Patrick Mahomes. And, you know, winning on the road is tough. Winning on the road in Arrowhead is even more tougher. Not a lot of people have success have done that. Tom Brady is one who has done that. But for the Bills going into this offseason, what are some things that they need to do to kind of put themselves in position to be back here next season and potentially, hopefully, beat the Chiefs for the first time in 4 years?
I think they got to shore up the defense. They've grown. You're going to have Keon Coleman in year number 2, which is a big deal, too. They've got to shore up their defense just a little bit because, you know, in the offseason, they cut a lot of guys, a lot of veteran guys because they had to get underneath the cap. And they hit on a lot of draft picks. It's just another year. And I think any Bills fan's going to say this to you. You got to win home field advantage. You can't go back to Arrowhead. You can't go back to dealing with him again because that has killed them. Now they've lost at home to the Chiefs, but that plays a huge role. That environment, how things are. Mahomes can win anywhere. We saw that last year where he went to Buffalo, he went to Baltimore. For a team like Buffalo that needs every single possible advantage, environment plays a huge role. So you got to try to see if you can get the 1 seed.
Yeah, that's important. Brian, I'll bring you in because you know you saw this game. We've watched the Texans-Chiefs game last weekend together, actually, and you called it perfectly on last week's episode of The Rewind. But Patrick Mahomes, 18-26, 245 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 43 yards on the ground. Kareem Hunt, big day for him, 17 carries, 64 yards, 1 touchdown. Xavier Worthy, who I think has been the difference maker in this game as well, is for this Kansas City Chiefs offense, 6 receptions, 85 yards, and the touchdown. Brian, both teams fought to the end. As Kevin brought up earlier, Bills did have an opportunity on the last drive to go make something happen. 4th down conversion didn't happen. Chiefs are moving on to Super Bowl 59. We know the greatness of Andy Reid. He's the all-time leader in Eagles coaching history. He's an all-time winner in Chiefs coaching history. What's your take on this Chiefs win at home over the Bills and advancing to the Super Bowl 59?
It's like this. When you go into playing the Chiefs, in my opinion, I've watched them over the years, you have to tell your team that you are down 7 from the gate. You have to. It's just a situation with Mahomes. He knows just knows how to win the game, and you know by all means necessary. Whether it's the officials, whether it's Taylor Swift in the stands, whether it's the players, whatever it may be, he knows how to win the game. So if you tell your team, like when I was coaching basketball, going inside of Linden playing against Colegio, we were always down 10 going in before the game even started because of the environment. This is a different environment. It's an equal environment. However, it's the Chiefs. And those guys will go come in here ready to play and ready to go. Understand that if I'm the Eagles, I'm definitely going there and saying, we're down 7 points from the door. We have to dominate this game for 4 quarters. We cannot let him have the ball with 3 or 2 minutes to go before the game ends and it's a tie ball game. We're going to lose. We're down 7. Let's finish this game.
Yeah, that's important because, you know, going into Arrowhead again, you already have the expectation of you have to play at your best on all 4 downs for all 4 quarters because we know how great this Andy Reid offense is. And we definitely know how great this Steve Spagnuolo defense is because, as I said last week, Steve Spagnuolo will blitz you on all 4 downs. He does not care who your quarterback is. As long as that defense with Chris Jones, they get it done. And you know, the Chiefs will definitely have their hands full with Philly coming into town. Speaking of Philadelphia, we do have an Eagles fan. Kevin's a great Eagle fan, Philly faithful, breathes, eats, and sleep Philly sports. Philadelphia Eagles with the 55-23 win at home over the Commanders in the NFC Championship. They advance to their 2nd Super Bowl in 3 years. I mean, let's just call it for what it is. This Eagles team has been everything has ran through Philly this postseason. With the Lions losing at home in the divisional round, this opened up doors for Philly to have everything and everyone come through there. We know how tough it is to play at Lincoln Financial Field. Kevin, man, 55-29. I know the defense got after them early after, you know, Washington got up with the field goal. They got 3 turnovers, forcing the Commanders to make some pretty crucial mistakes. Defense was on point. What was your takeaway from the Eagles' 55-29 win at home to advance to the Super Bowl?
just how great Vic Fangio has been with his defense and their growth over the last 3 months. It changes everything because Jaden Daniels is such a special player. I wasn't comfortable when it was 34-23. I don't think anybody was. And then to force that third turnover, that third fumble, because they finished with 4 because of the Quinyon Mitchell pick in the end zone.
Yes.
But that third turnover was such a big deal momentum-wise. The popping the ball with Austin Eckler, trying to get back up. It just shows you that they're a hungry defense. To me, it's a better defense than 2022, and a big reason why is Fangio, but that secondary's better. And I think it's better than the 2017 Super Bowl winning team. So it's just fun as a Philadelphia fan and somebody that's watched 45 years of Eagles football. It's fun to watch a defense be able to hit. If you grew up in the Buddy Ryan era, you love that defense, but they didn't have the offense, right? This team is always around the football, multiple players. They tackle really well. And Fangio is one of those guys that he gets the best out of every one of his players because look at the secondary, the growth of those two guys, Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell, rookies to get inserted and play like veterans. And then Jalen Carter's taken the next step. Nolan Smith's taken the next step. The growth of Zach Bond, where you got a guy that is with the Saints and he's a role player and you bring him in here to play special teams. And then they're like, no, you're going to be the heart and soul of this defense in the middle. And then he makes he's a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year. It just shows you that coaching matters in the NFL. And Vic Fangio was fantastic with this team the last 3 months.
Bryant, we know Coach Fangio is 0-8 against Patrick Mahomes in his career, especially if you go back to Fangio's days in Denver. Patrick Mahomes has played very well against Coach Fangio in his career, but this Eagles defense is a lot more tougher. He's injected a new poison, a new life on both sides, on the defensive side as well as the defensive side. I do like the reunition of CJ up there in safety. That was pretty crucial to bring him back. Bryant, with this defense that you saw throughout the playoffs, they are physical. They can get after the quarterback. We've seen last week against the Commanders, they can force turnovers. What is it going to take for this Coach Fangio's defense to get after Patrick Mahomes and make his life a living hell for Super Bowl 59?
I think they have already done it. You're talking about 17 points a game that they're giving up on the season, an average. I mean, that's kind of unheard of in this new prophylactic offense. Everybody runs the spread and throwing the ball all over the place for thousands and thousands of yards. It's giving up 17 points in today's game is remarkable. I think they got a shot like anybody else, but yet they're a physical group of players. And I was completely shocked what they did against Washington, putting up 55 points and holding them down to a minimum amount of 22 points. That was remarkable. I think that, I got the Philadelphia Eagles just pretty much giving Mahomes as much as he can take and much as he can bear.
Yeah, Kevin, I want to get your opinion on this. There was a quote that I saw after the game was Philadelphia's win, and a lot of criticism from the media has been coming around Jalen Hurts in terms of his play and not putting up, glamorous numbers in the playoffs. But he said, "I don't play the game for stats. I don't play the game for numbers or any statistical approval from anyone. I understand everyone has a perceived notion of how they want it or to look or how they expect it to look. The number one goal is to always come out here and win." The critics are quiet at this point, but they're only going to get more ramped up as we get closer to Super Bowl Sunday. Kevin, he's done a great job throughout the playoffs with taking care of the football and managing the game from the offense standpoint. The offensive line has been really, really good in this postseason, opening up holes for Saquon Barkley. I mean, Saquon Barkley had over 118 yards rushing in the win over the Commanders. Kevin, for what this quote means and for what Jalen Hurts has said, with all the critics coming in, what's been something you've been most proud of Jalen Hurts this postseason?
Protecting the football. That's the name of the game here, right? The strength of the Eagles is clearly their offensive line and Saquon Barkley. And I think Jaden takes it upon himself that he's been forgotten in this offense at certain times, but he also knows how to execute it. And he's taken a lot of hits publicly about the sacks. Some of the sacks you're like, okay, but that Rams game, protect the football was critical. Stafford could not protect the football, especially in the snow. I thought Jalen has done an incredible job making sure that drives stay in their hands and you're not giving short field position to the opposing team by coughing it up, throwing an ill-advised pass in the red zone. He's just protecting the football, and that's the difference in this game. That's the difference in what we've seen the last 3 games for this Eagles squad. And the last time he threw an INT, it was before Thanksgiving. Just keep that in mind. Like, he is fully aware of what his job and his role is. Hey, make sure we're moving the ball down the field. If there's nothing there, throw it away or just sit on it. And also, you'll get another chance because you believe in that defense on the other side. So I think what he's done has been fantastic, and I can't wait. I think we're in for another fantastic performance from Jalen Hurts that we saw in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and let's hope we get it again.
I agree, Kevin. This will be definitely a really good game to see from the offensive standpoint. I think what people are falling asleep on is the fact that he does have a great lethal threat in the passing game with A.J. Brown, Devontae Swift, and Dallas Goedert, because at the end of the day, even if you stop the run, you've put Jalen Hurts in a position where he has shown in his playoffs that he can get the ball to his star guys like we've seen last week against the Commanders. We're getting A.J. Brown going, getting Devontae going, and that just opens up the game for play action downfield, which the Eagles are really good at. Kellen Moore does a really good job at calling a good offensive game plan. But the roads went through Philly. We know where we stand and going into Super Bowl 59. Rematch, Chiefs and Eagles. Kevin, you're more excited than probably anyone else or any other Eagle fan in the country. I know you're pumped up for this game. Eagles are coming in. Spreads at 2 right now, but the Eagles have at underdog road mentality. I feel like coming to this one, all bets are on Patrick Mahomes. They are going into trying to make history in the NFL, being the first team to win a 3-peat of Super Bowls. We haven't seen that ever. I know Tom Brady was close, winning 3 out of 4. But, Kevin, do the Eagles have what it takes from what you've seen to prevent Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid from getting 3 straight Super Bowls?
Yeah, I think so. I feel pretty confident about where this team is. The 2 biggest concerns I've got with the Eagles is where's that offensive line health-wise, because Spags is going to bring the blitz. So on 1st and 2nd down, you got to have positive 3, 4, 5 yard gains. You cannot be 3rd and 6 or 3rd and long because he's going to bring in the blitz. And listen, that's going to be a problem if that line isn't healthy and picking up that blitz. Now, on the other side, defensively, I'm a little concerned about the middle and Travis Kelce, because Zach Ertz he ate in the middle against the Eagles. So, and now you've got one of the greatest tight ends of all time in Travis Kelce, who always knows where to be, and Patrick Mahomes knows where to find him. So that will be my concern, 8 to 15 yards downfield in the middle. And then once you cover those guys on the outside with Xavier Worthy, he's going to kind of play the Kadarius Toney role that we saw 2 years ago and use his speed. And then when you cover everybody on the outside and Travis Kelce, then you got Mahomes' feet moving up the middle that we saw on that final drive in the Super Bowl that killed us. It was like that 20 to 25 yard gain that he had, and that the Eagles had a fantastic coverage play, and Mahomes moved the chains and kept that game-winning drive going. So those are my 2 biggest concerns coming in: the middle of the field defensively and Travis Kelce, as well as making sure they pick up the blitz. I think this game comes down to, we all know it, the final drive, 5 to 6 minutes left, and Patrick Mahomes has the ball in his hand. And will the Eagles defense make a stop? I think they will.
I think they will as well. Bryant, what's your take on what it will take for this Philadelphia Eagles team to stop Patrick Mahomes from getting 3 straight?
Prayer. It's just what it is. The guy he's done it 2 years in a row, and he's going in for a 3-peat. They want the 3-peat. It's going to take a lot of prayer and a lot of luck and mistake-free football from the Eagles. They cannot turn the ball over. If they don't turn the ball over, there's definitely a 2-point spread, either going, give or take either way. It just doesn't make, it's going to be a fantastic game, probably one of the most fantastic games we've seen in a long time. So, but yet I'm expecting the Eagles to win this here at the stretch. I'm not going to get my prediction score yet, but yet I'll let Kevin do his thing and give that prediction score here coming up.
Yeah, we got 2 things before Kevin goes. One, Kevin, we want to know if you can give us a quick insight. We know you'll be in New Orleans next week for Super Bowl coverage. What is your score prediction for this game between the Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs?
I'm going to probably, as of right now, I have the ability to change it next week, but I'm going 31-27 right now, Philly. So that means, Jake Elliott, you got to make your kicks, man. You got to make your kick.
Kevin, we do have a special guest I want to bring on and introduce you. He is also a Philly native. He is also a Philly bleeds blood, Philly sports. He did go to Temple 1 year before transferring. Let's bring him on. Let's bring on Spurs broadcaster Bill Schoening. Bill's one of my mentors. Bill, Kevin, Bill.
Bill, good to see you, man.
So fun. I don't know that we've ever met, and I'm not even sure what part of town you're from, Kevin.
I grew up, I was born in West Philly, right outside Penn, and then I grew up in the suburbs, King of Prussia Valley, Forge, Phoenix.
Okay, you're very close to me. I'm a Southwest Philly guy. I went to West Catholic High at 49. Yep.
Nice.
So I had this play-by-play dream listening to Byram Psalm called the Phillies back in the 60s. So that's where the whole thing started.
Well, my guy was Harry Callis, so I was very lucky at Temple to be in the booth with Harry, calling those Phillies games with Whitey. So we all have that connection. And the mantra is true. Temple Owls are everywhere, no matter what. Good representing us.
Yeah.
All day, every day.
I don't know, Kevin, if you know Mike Jensen. He's writing a book right now. Mike just retired from the Philadelphia Inquirer after 30 years, but he's writing a book on the history of Philly basketball. And because I've written the book, he keeps sending me little excerpts. And I can't wait to read this book. It's going to be, because the stories they're intertwined. They're all related. It's amazing.
And that's what it's about, right? From the Sunny Hill League, everybody knows somebody that's connected to somebody's uncle and somebody's aunt and somebody, that's my third cousin. Like that's what I love about Philly hoops to the community, right? And Mike's salt of the earth. Good dude. He was always great with me.
Kevin, we want to appreciate you taking time out to come on to Rewind. I know you got a busy day ahead as well as a busy week next week. I'll be watching you from my TV screen. Safe travels on your way. Tell the wife and kids hello. Be well, be safe, be blessed. And thanks for taking the time to come on to Rewind, my man. See you soon.
Thanks for having me on. Great to see you guys. And Bill, have a great season the rest of the way. You got an all-star and you got a special guy. And you know it, man. Victor Wembanyama is a fantastic person and player, man. Can't wait for the future, guys. Take care. Go Birds.
Thank you, Kevin.
Kevin Negandhi, ESPN Zone. Definitely appreciate him taking the time. But before I introduce this person that you may see on your screen, you're like, who's this guy, Bill? I have no idea who he is. Let me just give you a background of the guy. Bill Schoening is also a Philadelphia people, just like Kevin. Born and raised, attended West Catholic High School and did 1 year at Temple before transferring to American Academy of Broadcasting in Philadelphia. His first radio job was in Illinois. Fast forward to 1989, Bill was hired to broadcast sports for the University of Texas. Hook 'em. Covered the Longhorns football and basketball, was mentored by two Texas Longhorn legends, Brad Sham and Jerry Ciprino. After Brad and Jerry left, Bill spent the next 9 years as the voice of the Texas Longhorns. Basketball and football while doing play-by-play for Longhorn baseball for 12 years. In 2001, Bill was hired to be the radio voice of the San Antonio Spurs. Currently, right now, Bill is in his 24th season with the Spurs. He is also a part of all 4 championship runs that the Spurs won in 03, 05, 07, and the last one in 2014. Let's bring him on to the Rewind. Bill Schoening, my mentor. If you don't know, we have a crazy backstory. This is us last year at the Celtics game. We got to see Victor Wembanyama with my own 2 eyes on the court during pregame warmups. That was a special moment I'll never forget. I've been to Brooklyn with Bill. I've worked with him. There you go. Spurs legend Sean Elliott. I mean, the memories are endless. I'm very grateful for Bill. We met a few years ago. I was a junior in college. I just asked him for lunch. Kenny gave me some advice from a broadcaster standpoint. I was a broadcaster for Ramapo during my tenure there. And Bill invited me out to New York where the team was staying at in the hotel. And we sat down. We shot the breeze. He was very honest, very transparent. He told me that I had something. I didn't waste his time because if I didn't have anything, I would think he would have just said, like, I just think this sports broadcast thing is not for you and you might want to go in a different direction. But we stayed in touch throughout the years. He's always supported me on anything I do or anything I've done. He's always given me advice that I needed. So I made it a priority to have another Philly native on the Rewind. So Bill, I definitely appreciate you taking the time. I know the Spurs played last night. I know you guys got a game later on tonight at home, but I appreciate you taking the time to join us on the Rewind. How you doing, brother?
No problem. I'm in a good mood right now. I am, because the Eagles are Super Bowl. So, and the Phillies should have gone to the World Series. So it's all good. I haven't been in Philly since 79 because my radio career has taken me all over the place, mostly to Texas. But I'm still a loyal fan of all those teams, except for the Sixers. I pull for them 80 times a year, twice a year. I work for the other team, so, that loyalty comes from that paycheck, guys. You know what I mean?
Well, Bill, I am sorry because, as you know, I am a New York Met fan, and I'm sorry for what we did to you guys this postseason, sending you guys home. I look forward to many more beatings down the road. But Bill, you've seen this Eagles postseason run. You've seen what they've been able to do. You see what they did last game, putting up 55 points against the Washington Commanders. I mean, the defense was just atrocious. They gave Jaden Daniels hell. They forced some turnovers. Saquon Barkley got in the end zone 3 times. Couldn't ask for anything more. This Philly team is riding sky high, and I feel as though we haven't seen the best of the Philadelphia Eagles in this postseason. Bill, something I want to ask you. You've seen this. What will it take for the Eagles to win Super Bowl 59 against Patrick Mahomes, coming against a great offensive-minded Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo defense? What will it take for Philadelphia Eagles to prevent Patrick Mahomes from making history and winning 3 straight Super Bowls?
One of the things I think they got to do, Monty, is keep their strengths. And their strength is their offensive line. And we hope that their offensive line is healthy because, of course, they've been banged up a little bit. And, of course, Saquon Barkley running behind that offensive line. So if those things happen, they can control the clock a little bit. Although Saquon hits those long home runs, that doesn't control the clock very well. But as an Eagles fan, you'll take those long home runs. Nothing against those. But, of course, if you got a good, strong running game and you can keep them kind of ahead of the chains, if you will, forcing, second and 3, 3rd and 1, you can always keep the clock running and keep the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands. So I think that's one way that you win this football game. And also the defense. And I heard a little bit of what Kevin had to say. And I think he's right. That soft middle, that's a concern because Travis Kelce can be a weapon in this ball game. But I think conversely, too, Hurts has a lot more weapons to his credit, or at his disposal, I should say, that maybe people recognize. A.J. Brown's a very strong receiver. We know that Devontae Smith can be a home run hitter. And obviously, Dallas Goedert is a very good tight end. And he can be a really good safety valve if Jalen's got to move around the pocket a little bit. He and Goddard seem to have a very good relationship. And you always need that good tight end. I think that's always important. And if you got a good offensive line and a tight end that can catch the ball and get downfield like Goddard can, that's just one more weapon that Hurts has at his disposal.
Brian, what's your take? Because I feel as though he makes a good point. All good quarterbacks have a good tight end next to him, that sort of Batman and Robin look, because we know blocking in the NFL is important. And if you have a good tight end who can also block as well as catch, that just makes you that much more lethal. We've seen it with Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski. We've seen it with John Elway and Shannon Sharp. We've seen it now with Jalen Hurts and Goddard. We've seen it also with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. That's longevity of greatness. That's longevity of success. How important will it be for this Eagles offense to protect Jalen Hurts at all costs from preventing him from getting sacked 5 times, 6 times, or which they've averaged his playoff run?
Well, everything is extremely important. The offensive line is they have to come to their best A game. I know that everybody's a little dinged up at this point in time, but you're absolutely correct about the tight end. As an ex-tight end myself, the tight end position has changed tremendously in today's game. Now they put him out as the 3rd receiver, sometimes the number 2 receiver, and catching the ball over the middle all the time. They're big targets. These guys are coming out as 6'5" and 6'6", and me, I'm one of the undersized tight ends at 6'1", 6'2". These guys are the major targets in the middle, and they can make up bunches of yards in a quick blur and get first downs easily. I think that the Eagles will have a fantastic time of catching the ball over the middle. I think Jalen Hurts is playing mistake-free football. I think Kansas City is pretty much the same. This game to me is just even. It's just hard for me to sit there and say that one team is going to beat the other, and while this team is going to beat the other, because everyone has stud football players on both sides of the ball. Offense, it's all, for me, it comes down to what each team does defensively and if they can force any turnovers and if the offense can play mistake-free football. The team with the most mistakes is going to lose. That's just what it is, because both Kansas City and the Philadelphia Eagles are fantastic football teams.
Bill, I want to get your insight on this. Kevin's already given me his. I think it's important as an Eagle faithful, as I should say, with this game coming up. What is your score prediction for next Sunday's game between the Eagles and Chiefs?
Wow, that's a really right off the bat, huh? Well, one of the things that I think, as I mentioned, I think that Hurts has done a much better job in the playoffs and late in the regular season as well, taking care of the football. He had a problem taking a lot of sacks early in the year and also turning the ball over. And I think that he's done a much, much better job in recent games of taking care of the ball. So I think that's one of the main keys. I think that, that's obvious that they've got to take care of the ball. The other thing, too, is that Eagles defense has been forcing some turnovers, and they've got some guys that can hit. So I think that maybe if they can force a turnover early and get the edge, then maybe, we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be a tight game all the way through. I'm picking the Eagles to win it 33-27.
33-27. We'll give our prediction, not just yet, too early. You'll have to catch that next week's episode of The Rewind. Bill, changing gears. Spurs 24th season. You've seen the Spurs from top to bottom. You've been there through all the success. Right now, the Spurs are currently ranked 12th in the West, 20-24, 3-8 in the last 10. It's not something I'm sure Spurs fans are proud of. We're approaching All-Star break. You guys do have a game tonight against the Milwaukee Bucks at 8:00 Eastern time. Bucks are coming in at 26-19 on the season. We know the Bucks have been up and down. Bill, with the pieces that this Spurs roster has, you brought in a veteran in CP3 who's been a great addition offensively and in the locker room. He's helped Stefan, another draft pick from UConn, in terms of his growth of his game, who I think is having a really good rookie campaign in year one. With the piece that you guys have with Keldon Johnson and others, do you think that this Spurs team going into the second half of the season can make that run to sneak into the playoffs, if not sneak into the play-in game?
I think they're capable, but they have to play much better than they have over the last stretch of 8 to 10 games. They've lost 8 of the last 10. As you mentioned, they've struggled lately, especially defensively and on the board. So they have to do certain things better than what they have done over the past couple of weeks to get back into consideration to try to sneak into a play-in situation. Right now, they're 12th. They're 4 games under 500. This is the toughest stretch for them all year long. So, and they've only got 2 games left here before the start of the rodeo road trip, which this time will be 12 games because there's 2 games that count as home games, but they're going to be played in Austin. So 12 games before they get back to San Antonio. So this is a tough stretch for a young team, but they haven't taken advantage of the home court as well as they maybe should have. Right now they're 12-12, and they're coming off a home loss the other night to the LA Clippers, in which they got out rebounded by 27. So there are certain things they have to address as a team on both sides of the floor before they can think about where the next step is. The first step is to try to improve the product on the floor right now.
Yeah, the Spurs definitely do defensively. They give up a lot of points. I know last night you guys gave up over 100 points in the loss, and it's something that I feel as though it'll start to come together. I think in the second half, you did have some injuries so far this season. People have been in and out of the lineups. You really haven't had the chance to have any consistency on both ends of the floor. But you do have Victor Wembanyama, who is in year 2, who's made definitely a change in his game from last year to this year. You see the improvements. He's definitely put on some muscle. He's playing with a little bit more confidence when he has a ball. And those are things you want to see from your superstar. And when you have guys like CP3, who's one of the all-time greats, who will be in the Hall of Fame when it's all said and done, it makes it that much easier for a guy like Victor to be able to find his spots because you got a legend in CP orchestrate into offense. Bryant, with Victor Wembanyama in year 2, you've said that you've been impressed with what you've seen so far this year in terms of his development. With what you see from Victor going into the All-Star break, if not the second half, he's averaging over 24 points a game. He's lead the Spurs in scoring. What will it be for Victor in terms of what it will take to get them into that playing game, if not get them into the playoffs at the 8th seed?
Well, it's hard to sit here and say, Victor, with him scoring 24 points, he's pretty much trying to do so much compared to previous Spurs teams when they had like David Robinson and Tim Duncan and they had Will Perdue when they won in 1999. It's just a lot to depend on with Victor. In my opinion, and I could be wrong, but in my opinion, if you bring that type of style basketball back, then he wouldn't have to do so much in shooting threes and to be all over the place. And he can basically play Victor game and dominate within around the paint. The game is so spread out now. Everybody's running a 4-out, 1 in, and basically all 5-out, no in. It's just a wild game, and it's just reducing the amount of wins. If you get back to where basketball was played like before, with 3-out, 2 in, and basically dominate the paint with all the great bigs, then they just wind up seeing what they used to do and produce victories and win the championships. That's just what it is. Since this game has changed, I think the Spurs and quite a few other teams have struggled. You look at the Knicks, the same thing. They got to the finals, but yet they was worn out because they only had 4 guards that pretty much dominated. But then eventually the injuries just took place. So when you don't have those guys that you can rotate, always call it basketball, the 3-headed monster. Always kept 3 bigs in there, and I rotate them in and out. We destroyed when we dominated teams. And once we didn't have that, we were a 500 ball club or a little bit over. It's just what it is. The physicality kind of takes into play. And once you give this young man some help, and especially with a good point guard like CP3, he's getting old. It's almost time for him to be done. You need some fresh legs in there. You need some guys, some big guys in there that can go ahead and play like Dennis Rodman, do the little dirty work. And then you can see some change. But until then, in my opinion, basically go pretty much see the same thing. It's the same result.
Yeah, Bill, how impressed have you been with Stefan Castle this year? He has a great mentor in the locker room with CP. No better offensive mind to be around, or no better person to be around in general in terms of X and O's and IQ. What's impressed you the most with Stefan this year on the floor, both offensively and defensively?
Let me address something that Brian said about CP3. He is 40 years old. He's been around the league for a long time, but I think Wemby has benefited from having him around and all the young guys in this roster have. He's a veteran who's been there. He's a leader. He talks a lot. He'll probably one day, if he wants to anyway, be a head coach in the NBA, and that day probably won't be too far away if he wants it to be. I don't know how long he's going to keep playing, but having him around, watching the way that he has handled this mentorship role with this club while still playing point guard, has been really kind of impressive to watch, because he's the kind of veteran leader the team has needed. Harrison, I'm not sure if you guys know much about Harrison, but a really true pro out of North Carolina, and he's come in and provided that same type of leadership. He's more of a quiet guy than CP3 is, but the young guys in this roster really have learned a lot from those guys. But in terms of what was the next question, Monty, about Steph Castle? Yes, very impressed by him. He's only 20 years old. It's defense first for him. He's still developing his offensive game. He works very hard on improving his outside shot, but he's only 20 years old, and he's a defensive-minded guy first, very physical player. He may very well get Rookie of the Year. I know he's working hard on his offensive game, but he does not back down. He was up against James Harden the other night. It doesn't matter who he's up against. He's going to play tough, hard-nosed defense and not back down.
Go ahead, Brian. You want to say something?
I kind of wish the Spurs would get my cousin, Javon Carter. He's been sitting on the bench with Bulls and just rotting there and not playing and not really doing too much. Hey, tell him to come on and get him. I mean, so I can come down to San Antonio and watch some games, because I don't want him to sit there on the bench and then next thing you know, it'll be the death of him. I mean, come on, let's get, let's make this move and make this happen.
I want to say Javon played in the first game we played against the Bulls, but not the second game. So,
yes.
But he's gotten some time, right? It's not like he's completely at the end of the bench.
Yeah.
He's getting some time.
Correct.
Yeah, it's been exciting to see this Spurs team. I'm curious, of course, to see where they go in the second half. I think the second half of the season is crucial for the Spurs, especially if they want to creep into that playing game, if not creep into a playoff spot. I think they have all the capabilities to do it. We do know that they don't have the general on the sideline as he continues to recover. We want to send our prayers and thoughts out to Coach Pop and his family. He has continuously trending in the right direction in terms of his health. Health is wealth. Health is important. Bill, no one has seen Coach Pop more than you in terms of practices, in terms of film, and of course, obviously being on the sidelines calling Spurs for over 24 years. What has been some of your foundest moments with Coach Pop, rather on the court or off?
Well, he's a guy that is a very interesting guy. Basketball is among his interests, but I wouldn't say it's always his primary interest. He's interested in a lot of different things. He's a very philosophical guy, reads a lot of books. He was excited when we're going to Berlin, for instance, in 2014, because he knew I was kind of a World War II buff, and I wanted to see some of that stuff over there. So, some of the coolest moments I've had with Pop had nothing to do with basketball, but having the chance to call 4 championships and seeing him lead those teams with Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Manu Ginobili. And Monty, I want to correct something I said earlier. I was not with the Spurs for the first one. In '99, that was the David Robinson first Tim Duncan. Right. I was still with the Texas Longhorns in '99. But the first one that I was part of was Tony Parker's second year, Manu Ginobili's rookie year, which would have been 2003. That was the year that Tim Duncan in the finals had 32 block shots in the finals. Guys, you're talking earlier about style of play. I've seen it from both sides, Brian, right? Like I've seen David Robinson and Tim Duncan, the Twin Towers, holding teams to 80 points. And the Spurs just out-muscling teams, and they allowed it back then. The game is completely different now. They don't allow all the, you don't see like big physical centers anymore, it just, there was a lot of banging going on. Yeah, Shaquille O'Neal, I don't know what would happen with Shaquille in today's game because they would try to pull him outside and, he'd be able to guard out there. So it would be really, and I don't see it changing. I think that the way that, and of course the Europeans have had an influence as well because they've had big men that step outside and shoot, and they've changed the game. They really have, because there's, I think, 150 foreign players now in the league, something like that. So it's changed it.
Yeah, the game has definitely grown on a global standpoint or global side, which is important. But as you said, the bigs today, there is no more back down, dominate you, impose my will, just grind you till I can't grind you anymore, and just mentally beat you down to where as though you're exhausted. And as you've seen, bigs like Joker, bigs like Anthony Davis, bigs like Joel Embiid, Victor Wembanyama, and others, that outside game has become a priority in terms of their offensive style of play, especially Karl Anthony Towns. How hard is it from a broadcaster's eye? Because you've seen both eras of physicality between whereas though before, when you're going at the end of third quarter, the score is only 70-71 versus today, where teams are going into the end of the third quarter with 100 points on the scoreboard. So from a broadcast standpoint, in terms of calling a game, how hard is it for you to adjust to today's NBA style of play?
I have a lot of fun with it when it's up and down, back and forth. I try to have fun because if it's an up-tempo game, I enjoy it. But I also enjoyed when they were back and banging each other down low and, just really a strong physical game. Rasheed Wallace or Shaq against Tim Duncan, I like that style of play too. I like all kinds of different basketball. But one thing I will say is when you look at the game from a different perspective, from like upstairs, we used to be down on the floor. Now we're upstairs. So I can see the flow of the game a little bit different upstairs than from downstairs. And also you look at it more from like a fan standpoint than from a player or coach standpoint, because when you're down on the floor, you can hear guys talking to each other. If somebody's got a little personal beef against the ref, you can anticipate things happening when you're on the floor more than when you're upstairs. And basically we're upstairs in just about all the arenas now.
Yeah, I feel from a broadcast standpoint, it is easier to call a game from upstairs than on the floor. On the floor, you have your view, you get a feel you can feel things as far as in terms of the crowd. You can feel when the momentum is shifting. But being up on a higher level, I know Brian's done that in his defensive coordinator days in football, whereas though he likes to be in the booth also. But just seeing a game from a broader view up top, it makes it more easier because you see every little thing that you may not see, on the floor, and that's important. As you always told me, broadcasting is basically storytelling. And if the tempo is going 100 miles an hour both ways, you got to be able to call that best way you can. But Bill, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I do appreciate you coming out. Good luck tonight against the Milwaukee Bucks at home. Hopefully you guys can take care of business and get back in the win column. It's always a pleasure. Hope to see you soon. Your son, Carl, is kicking butt and taking names. He's definitely a person that will be hopefully in your seat in some days to come. Love Carl. Love your fam, Bill. Appreciate taking the time to come on to Rewind. I love you, and I hope to see you soon, man.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it. I have one more thing to say. Go Chicago Bulls. I had to slide that one in there.
Hey, Bill, if you want to give some advice to Bryant, he is building his retirement home in Texas. Is there any place you want to give some recommendation for Bryant when he gets down there, when his house is all said and done? Bill has exited the room. He will not be giving you advice today, Brian.
That's okay.
Bill Schoening, NBA Spurs radio broadcaster, 24th season. Bill has been someone who has been an inspiration to my life, who's paid it forward, who's given me things that everyone should be able to receive in terms of building relationships, obviously having those conversations and being intentional. A lot of great GOATs in the game of whatever all walks of life you walk in. I feel as though it's important for them to pull back into the next generation, uplift in the best way they can or best way you can. You've done that for me, Bryant. Bill has done that for me, and it takes a village. And I'm definitely grateful to, have him on the Rewind. I think it was important. But Bryant, I mean, we've pretty much covered everything. I know next next week for you guys. We got a special show coming. We won't say who's coming on. It is a former NFL player. We will be talking Super Bowl Sunday with the Chiefs and Eagles, and we will give our score prediction next week on a Rewind. But if you haven't liked to subscribe to our YouTube channel, please do. I want to thank Kevin Negandhi for coming on. I want to thank Bill Schoening for coming on. I want to thank Chris in 1990 Studios for doing the great production that they do. Shout out to Howard, who's done a phenomenal job on the graphic side, to the whole GSC3 team. I love you guys. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at Global Sports Entertainment 3. This episode will be out on all platforms, Apple Podcasts as well. Bryant, any final words before we sign off here on episode 3?
I'm just looking forward to next week's game. We pretty much probably going to wind up being down in Philly during that time. So, we're going to be in Philly during that time. I said we was going to be there probably early so we can get some footage down.
Wait.
Yes. We're going to be down at the stadium on Sunday, and we're going to see it all. We're going to videotape it all. So we won't get any clips like the media does. We're going to get full live action. So we have to see this game. We have to see it, what was actually going on in Philly. And I love it. Temple, Eagles. And I'm not an Eagles guy. I never have. My buddy Art Bowserman, rest in peace, is a diehard Philly guy. I had to represent him this time because I saw him before he passed a year before when the Eagles won. The year later he passed. I saw him walk down the street of Philadelphia and celebrate that win, because that was one of the things that he wanted to do before something happened to him and he wound up passing next year. But I had to replace him this year if the Eagles win, and I have to walk the streets and represent him. So this is why I'm passionate about getting to Philadelphia this year, just to replace him.
Public service announcement to all Eagles fans that will be watching this. Clearly, I am a New England Patriot fan. The Patriots are not in the Super Bowl. We suck. But year 2, Drake May is coming. However, I'm coming down to Philadelphia. Xfinity, that circus, it will be a zoo. Eagles fans from top floor to the bottom. People are going to be cheering like there is no tomorrow. But I just want to say I want no trouble. I'm coming down as a civilian. I am going to be rooting for the Philadelphia Eagles. So hopefully that gives me a little bit of buying time between now and then. So Philly fans, Philadelphia Xfinity, we're coming down there for Super Bowl Sunday. I look forward to the craziness. I look forward to the madness. That reminds me of the Patriots when we were winning Super Bowls with Tom Brady. Eagles are in the Super Bowl for the second time in 3 years. They have the opportunity to prevent history from being made, and that's Patrick Mahomes winning 3 straight Super Bowls. But Monty Moss, Bryant Garvin here, signing off from the Rewind, episode 3. Be sure to catch this on all platforms. Like and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't. This will be on Apple Podcasts or wherever you may get your audio podcast from. Follow us on Instagram at Global Sports Entertainment 3. To 1990 Studios, to Chris, to Howard, to the GSC3 team. I love you guys. And we'll see you guys next week with a special guest. Take care. We love you guys.
Let's go!
I was checking out the scouting report, and I don't see nothing but bums. You and your whole entire world know that I am the one. You and your squad ain't got nothing for me. Your organization is looking stressed, and now that you haters is running from me, I know that you see that I'm highly blessed.
Here we go. Yeah, we live with your boy Coach G. Yeah, we live with your boy Monty.
You and your squad ain't got nothing for me. Your organization is looking stressed, and now that you haters is running from me.